a question for our audience. Remember, you can tweet your comments as well at the handle @BIPC, and we've given the hashtag out already. We've got a couple of roving mics to collect your comments, your questions, your thoughts. So, do I have a question from London? This lady here caught my eye, and there's a microphone coming over. And you're welcome to say your name, who you are, without turning in too much of a pitch. Over to you.
Hi, my name is Claire. I'm from Table Crowd. Always makes me laugh when I say Table Crowd because I'm from the West Country, and often people don't understand when I say crowd, so I have to practice saying it.
So Table Crowd.
Yes, thank you. Edwina, thank you for making me laugh. I also had a similar feeling when I graduated with my degree in geography. What on the hell am I going to do with it? And I ended up at Tesco using dunnhumby data. So there you go. My question is, if you're in startup phase, how important is investing time in networking?
I don't know that I was ever any good at it, to be honest. I used to go to parties, events, and I'd say, data's really exciting, and people would yawn and walk away. And it's funny now because people think data is strategic, but they didn't. And so I think it's very lonely, actually. I think I was just, it's like when you're a believer and no one else is. It's very lonely. And so it's networking. I think you need to surround yourself with people who are positive. That would be my encouragement. There are amazing people who see ideas, embrace ideas, and I think that's the most important thing. You can talk to a lot of people who just give you negative energy. I wouldn't encourage that.
Networking, crucial to your business?
Yeah, so sales is fundamental to your business, networking is fundamental to sales. Never forget Eddie Izzard saying, if you want to be a stand-up comedian, hang out with funny people. If you want to be an entrepreneur, hang out with other entrepreneurs. Before going into an accelerator, the thing that most startups fret and worry about with more than anything else is the quality of the coaching and mentoring they're going to receive. What they're yet to discover is the thing they're going to learn most from are their peers. So just talking to people who are, it doesn't matter if they're in a totally different industry, what you're looking for is similarity, challenge or obstacle. People who've gone through the pain that you're going through right now, 6 months before you'll learn invaluably.
Okay, let's take another question now. We can get contributions from our other two panellists, hopefully, for the next question. So, do I have another question from a gentleman here called, it's Rashid. Hello there, Rashid, who helps me with the media side for British. I didn't choose you for that reason, but it's because you had your hand up. How are you, Rashid? Are you well?
I'm very well, Nadine, and you're doing a wonderful job. Wonderful panel, really enjoying it. Rashid Ogunlora, I'm life coach, business coach, and business coach partner, life coach partner to the British Library, and I run a networking workshop. So here, there's a little bit of a promo as well. But the question I wanted to ask the panel is, what one thing would you not do if you could do it all again? In other words, what's the thing that you would change quicker? Because I'm finding as a coach, there's so many things that I realise if only I'd stopped doing that like 10 years ago, I would have been further ahead. So I'm curious to know, what's the one thing that you would have stopped doing sooner, or that you would change if you were to go through the whole process again?
Helen. Don't say meeting your husband.
Just the one thing. It would be so many.
Well, go for it. What's your top one thing?
Yeah, that is quite difficult. Okay, so we went to great lengths to write a business plan, and I believe in the power of a business plan, partly because it helps you focus. It helps you just get clear in your mind, exactly what are we trying to do here? What are we trying to achieve? But I think what we did was we became a bit slaves to it in the end. So it took us quite a long time to deviate from it. And as a small business, that's the beauty of a small business. You can move really fast, and that's a fantastic benefit we have over and above big business. They move really slowly, like massive container ships, whereas a small business is like a little tiny sailing dinghy.
You hear that a lot, don't you, about business plans, but people still need to do them and want to do them.
Yeah.
Without the business plan, what do you think would have happened to your business? Do you think you'd have had the focus?
I think Simon and I would have disagreed on a lot.
Yeah.
because we're husband and wife, and that's, you know, inevitably there is disagreement in what you're trying to achieve. So yeah, I think it was really important to agree, to have some form of agreement about what is it we're trying to do. So I think without it, it probably would have all fallen apart very, very quickly.
So it's a regret, but also it's a necessity to a certain extent. Okay, Leslie.
It's quite interesting because we're an old business. You're assuming that we're large. So I employ 18 people, and we've been through a lot of growth and we've been through a lot of pain. And I think the thing that I would always say is, if you've got a vision, if you know what you're going to do, don't let anybody else, pretend to listen to them, all right? That's all I would say, pretend to listen. And I went to was given this chairman who was head of HMRC, lovely man, used to employing 2,000 people, no idea what it was like, because at that time we only had 6 people. And he said to me, I'm not even sure you've got a vision for the Institute. And I said, of course I've got a vision for the Institute. I said, you know, we are going to be the leading authority in all aspects of international trade. And he went, well, I don't know. He said, I wonder if we could just say one of the leading authorities. And I just said, not much of a vision though, is it? You know, and you've just got to keep on with that whole, stay there, see it, listen to what everybody says, but just believe in what you're doing.
Anything else? Simon, do you want to have a quick contribution to that one?
Yeah, I think Luke Johnson's got an interesting view on it, which is all about the power of willpower. And the best entrepreneurs have phenomenal willpower. And I think, you know, the thing to stop doing is self-indulgence. Yeah. It's one of the things, you know, celebrating women in business, one of the things that I think women are brilliant at is focus and not giving into self-indulgence in a way that men are notoriously terrible at. So if the printer fails, they will go and get spanners and start taking it apart, despite the fact they know nothing about printers. And that actually they're supposed to be in a car on their way to Tesco. And you know, there's nothing like, you know, a remedial trip to PC World in the afternoon to, you know, shop your way out of the misery that you're in. And so I would say it would be, you know, just really do the thing that's important, not the thing you really want to do.
Edwina.
Abandon your failures really fast. I think that's partly the same issue. I think you can get wrapped up with, I just need a little bit longer to make this work. I'm really going to turn this client round. I think you know, deep down, just walk away and take the hit.
So some great ideas there for you, Rashid. And I know we've got Jessica who's been monitoring the Twitter feed. So what have you got for us? What have you picked up on?
Oh, thanks, Nadine. A couple of really interesting comments on Twitter and a few good questions. 2 in particular have caught my eye. Jemima Bland addresses a question to Simon and Edwina, and she asks, is the UK behind where it should be in tech startup? And if so, what can be done about it?
So let's do that one first. Simon?
So the answer, I think, is slightly affected by the current context. But if you'd asked me like 3 months ago, I'd have said unquestionably. And London specifically, possibly the best place on earth. It's about density and density of talent and the diversity of talent. And London has been phenomenal in attracting the most remarkable talent. Not just tech, not just entrepreneurs, but also investors. You know, where other geographies are famous for one innovation, so Silicon Valley with social media, you know, London has education tech, has fintech, fashion tech, it has food tech, it just has the most amazing technology. So I would say it's been brilliant, but we can't be complacent would be my answer. So the reason why I'm sort of pondering at the start of my answer is that, you know, we could throw it away. Lisbon's just hosted Web Summit and did an amazing job of it, and it just proves that actually we've got a lot of competition now. There are some other amazing places out there, and I'm passionate about the distribution. So in my own personal portfolio now, I'm investing in businesses that have nothing to do with London. And
if you think about fintech, Malta, Switzerland are hot on the heels as well, aren't they? If not leading the way when it comes to sort of European ventures. And whereabouts in London are these hubs if people want to sort of hook up and get excited and be inspired? Where should they hang out?
So in January 2012, we created Wire in London, and there weren't that many then, and there weren't that many co-working spaces. Now There are loads of accelerators, loads of incubators, and loads of co-working spaces. You only have to Google it. And there is one here. We had a look at it earlier. There's fantastic resources here. So there's no shortage of opportunities for finding good places to hang out.
I mean, here, British Library.
Yes, specifically
Fabulous.
here
So well
in the
done.
library.
Good. Good plug.
And you can talk as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Edwina.
I think the thing that I observed, I don't know if it's as true today, but I found that British people, because they love travel, will go anywhere in the world. So when a company does start to export, I found there was never any lack of energy to go and start in Canada or Korea or Japan. You know, the enthusiasm was enormous, and I think that's a great strength for this country. I think we have a real passion for travel, and that gives us the opportunity to not just start here, but to actually grow internationally.
And then
from here.
encourage that inward investment back in again when it comes to people as well and talent. Jessica, you had another question as well.
I did, yeah. Following on from that question, our colleagues in Manchester Business and IP Centre have asked, in today's fast-moving climate where there's constant innovation and new technological developments, what's the best way to future-proof your business?
So future-proof your business. Helen, nice easy ones for you, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that falls quite into my lap of chocolate production, but it goes back to this point that I made earlier about being an SME and making the most of that opportunity. We describe ourselves as innovative British chocolate because we are constantly, reimagining chocolate. What does chocolate? Why does it have to be? Why does milk chocolate have to be packaged in a purple packet? For example, which is what one of my very first employees said to me, the milk chocolate's got to be purple. Rubbish. No, thank you. It's green, by the way. Keep moving. You have to keep moving and reimagining the products. Flavours for us it's all about flavour innovation, and also for us, as we started out as a very artisan hand making business because it was me and Simon. We are now pretty much all machine made, so we have to keep moving that process along,
And just that customer experience as well, is that part of the future proofing whereby you are communicating a two-way process with your customers and they're in a way leading the direction of the company within reason, coming up with recipes and suggestions. And how seriously do you take that?
Obviously the customer interaction, that whole platform has changed so much in 16 years. We opened a retail store and that was pretty much the extent of our interaction, although we did have a website. But let's just chuck that in there. Obviously, it was a very basic one 16 years ago. But now, we have data coming out of our ears and we don't know what to do with it. But obviously, so much comes from the customers and they love it. Customers who come, they'll send in not only their feedback, but their suggestions. Could you try and make us, or could you try and make me a milk chocolate with, kind of cardamom and vanilla? Okay, that's easy. We can do that.
And we can be quite glib about social media, but I've read somewhere, Edwina, that you're a massive fan of it and we're still just scratching the surface of it.
Yeah, I think the focus has been too much on the very few people that create content, that say something and that are visible. It's a tiny proportion. And it's an important proportion, but it is tiny. And actually, 95% of the market never says anything. It's a quiet consumer, and my interest is that of the quiet consumer, because we need to know what people love, even though they don't signal that. So it's to the question. I think it was Charles Darwin who's been slightly misquoted because it isn't the strongest of the species that survives. It's the most adaptive of the species that survive.
So being adaptable then, it's very highbrow, isn't it? From zigzag to Charles Darwin. And just in terms of future-proofing your business, when you think about associations, they, do have that sort of dusty, male, pale, stale sort of image. And obviously you are the complete opposite of that look. But how do you make your association attractive to particularly younger people who may see it as dusty and old?
Well, I have to say that, my focus is always on providing what people need, and I think as long as you keep on making sure you're giving people what they need, so we don't take any government funding, we don't, we actually believe in being commercial about what we offer, we talk to our students, we find out what people are doing, and international trade is always changing anyway, so we're always on top of what's happening, and I just think it's just about staying interested and not getting complacent about knowing what you think your customer needs, because actually, it changes.
And then finally, obviously, time has got the better of us again, although, as I said, most of the speakers will be around afterwards, so you can have a chat with them during the networking break. Just some final thoughts, some sound bites of some top tips that you'd like people to think about when they leave this room and go back to start up their business or grow it over the next few days as a result of hearing some words of inspiration tonight. So, Leslie, if I can start with you, just some ideas that people would like to think about as they leave.
Well, I just think that it's never too early to think about internationalising your business. As soon as the first name you choose, you should always check how it works internationally, because it will save you a lot of money later on if you can use that same name again and again. It sounds very obvious, but I worked with a guy who had a fabulous golfing thing. I'm sorry, I'm not a big golfer, but anyway, it was a fabulous golfing thing, and it was called Puttmaster. And then when we realised how great it was going to be in the UK, we tried to take it over to the USA, and Puttmaster was already registered. And his Puttmaster was a sort of like something you put on the ground to guide you into the hole, and theirs was like a pair of manacles that you had to wear and kept your hands in the right position to do this. So I thought, well, these are two very separate products. Why don't we try and do a collaboration? And I wrote to them and asked them, and they said no. Yeah. So we had to then rename it in America, and we had to make all decisions about whether to keep with the marketing we'd done in the UK. That sort of thing. It adds up, and it's a big distraction. So find out whether it works in the UK and internationally at the same time.
Helen, and your chocolate heaven, what messages would you like to impart?
I guess for me that probably one of the most important messages, nothing to do with chocolate, and actually it steals from a very large sporting goods manufacturer, and it's just do it. So many people say to me, I'd love to do what you did. I've got a really good business idea. I really want to set up my own business. I hate my job. I love, it's amazing what you did. So just what's stopping you? And what's stopping you is there are hundreds of things. We can all think of hundreds of things which would stop us taking that risk and setting up a business. But actually, there's never, ever going to be a perfect time to set up your own business and give up your job. That's the big risk, isn't it? That we give up that regular income and then venture out with no guarantees of where the next paycheck's coming from. It will be tough, but it's so rewarding. And I would just get out there and do it.
So another letter coming from another lawyer.
Yeah, probably.
This time Nike, but there you go. You can face them down. Yeah. And how about you, Edwina?
Well, I think the thing that I learnt gradually was to take your moment to celebrate, because I think it's a long, hard journey. It's very exhausting. It is a marathon. It's not a sprint. I know that's a bit cliche, but it's really easy to just go from one thing to the next. So celebrate. When something good happens, take time out, have a rest, have a little drink, and enjoy it. Give each other a pat on the back.
Yeah. Wise words. Simon, final word to you.
So I think we've gone through this most amazing change. We had the referendum, we had a change of Prime Minister, we've had the election in America, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of instability, a lot of people feeling quite anxious, a lot of people feeling quite irritated that they didn't get the outcome that they kind of wanted or felt was right. And I'd say don't invest all your energy in all of that. I think just because we didn't get the answers that we wanted necessarily, to fight for asking the question again, for me, is a misfocus of the talent and opportunity and potential we've got. And I would just encourage people to not wait. This whole notion of well, we better now just wait and see. I think if you've got an idea and you're compelled to drive your business, to your point, just do it. Get on, crack on, because we need for businesses to get going and thrive and scale up.
Well, thank you very much to all our panellists for their wise words and comments. Big round of applause, please, for our